maybe open a shop for 1 hour in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And then the day after, I feel tired, I want to take a rest. So if you are a client, a customer of this shop, you also feel very frustrated because you like to eat the chicken rice, but you do not know when the shop will be open. And eventually you give up and just go to a few shops away. So you have to set yourself like you're an entrepreneur, and you have to make a decision that this is the time I'll be setting up my business. If you decide that for a start, because I'm working, I can only allow myself 2 to 3 hours, fine. But you got to have that 2 to 3 hours consistently, Monday to Friday. And the good news about trading, there is no overtime on Saturday, Sunday, because market is closed. Unless you're trading cryptocurrency. So no matter what that you want to work 7 days a week, you can't. You have to have a fixed 5 days a week. But the good news is, you can at least start off with spending 2 to 3 hours. But when you decided to spend 2 to 3 hours, you have to be consistent. Example, if you say that I'm working from 8 to 5, so I'll spend about 2 to 3 hours every single day. A good time will be from 8 o'clock to about 10 o'clock. But at least if you make a decision that I'll take a look at the market from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. for example, then you got to look at it from Monday to Friday. It is not as if like Monday it will be 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Tuesday I'll take a break. Wednesday, got my favorite movie. Okay, never mind, I'll watch from 10 p.m. to midnight. Then Thursday, 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Friday will be 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So you cannot have that flexible trading hours. Although we say that trading is very flexible, you can decide when you want to trade. That's the flexibility, but doesn't mean that you decide when you're free, you decided to take a look at the market. One main reason is because different time trading hours, the characteristic of the market behaves a little bit different.
Yes. Okay.
Example, if you now decide to take a look in the afternoon, you'll be maybe looking at Asia market, Europe market. If you're looking in the evening, you're looking at more Europe to US market. So you cannot say that I want to trade Nikkei, Japan indices at night time, even though the market is open, but the characteristic of the movement are different. So you have to decide a office hour, a trading hour, and you have to stick with that consistently. And it gets very frustrating for the very first few weeks because people say it's freedom, trading is easy. But once you get to it, you have to be consistent in your trading hours, consistent in your trading signal, and consistent in what you want to trade.
Yes, yes.
So that's the thing that a lot of trainers usually don't mention because it's supposed to be easy.
Consistency, I think, is the toughest.
Correct.
Yeah. And the results usually reflect that.
Yes.
Yeah, but we have seen too many of those. And I suppose with a plan out or so-called trading plan or I don't know, it's like a trading journal. And the trader have to be really disciplined and stick to it. And of course, then they move on to revise it. But yeah. So that would enable them to really better manage that themselves, and also as they really understand or study the markets probably with some strategies that you then also guide them how to
during this circuit breaker where I was actually I was actually stuck in the room. I actually discovered there's one, nothing to do, so watch a lot of YouTube, and there's one particular channel that actually intrigued me. It's called the Flight channel.
The Flight.
It's actually, they were doing sort of how do I say, a flight report on plane crashes. Okay. So they sort of analyze why a certain plane crashed, and they do it in sort of a video, something like Discovery Channel. And one of the major reasons a lot of plane crashed is because they didn't follow what they call standard operating procedure. So that means they didn't follow a flight checklist.
Yes, okay.
And it made me intrigued because with a pre-flight checklist, I realized one thing, that right now, every pilot, whenever they fly, they could be flying the same airport if they are budget airline, land on the same airport several times a day. But every time before they fly, they have what they call fuel checked, door closed checked, in-flight cabin pressure checked. But they have a list right there, even though they have been using this checklist for every flight, for every years, for so many years, but yet they still go through that pre-flight checklist. So, which is why I actually developed a pre-trading checklist. This is what you need to do. For example, all right, yesterday, what is US market doing? Is the US market, do we have any signal that potentially today will the market go up or down? If today the market is expecting to go up, checked. Now, how do I know whether the market is going up? What is the trend? Am I trading with the trend or am I trading counter trend? Checked. So what's a sign that this is a counter trend trade? Checked. Is the market overbought, oversold? Checked. So with this pre-flight trading checklist, it makes trading slightly easier. So which is what I discovered a lot of traders didn't do. They do develop a trading checklist, but they don't depend on that trading checklist. Example, I may have wrote this trading checklist, but when it comes to trading, never mind, I know already.
Yeah.
But if you take a look at pilot, even though they know already, they still checked. And not only that, they have a co-pilot to verify that checked.
Yeah. This is really good practice. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because the at stake is not just it's non-recoverable, right? I think that's the key. Yeah. So I suppose that it depends of building that muscles of really the discipline. Perhaps even like stay a little bit more humble than like a little bit ego. I know my stuff, that kind. But you never know. It's going to be a good practice, a reminder. Sometimes they even have a second person to come and on hindsight, do we miss out sometimes, right? So I thought, this is really good sharing, very good tip.
A captain of a pilot have to also accept criticism, even though he or she has a 20 to 30 years flying experience. But yet, the co-pilot has the right to question. So one way, a very easy way, a faster way for a journey of a trader is to get, a co-pilot, someone that can double verify that what you are doing is correct. One easy way is if your spouse is interested in trading, both of you can check and counter check each other.
Okay.
That's one way of doing it.
Yeah.
But the only thing is sometimes spouse gets very frustrated.
Yeah.
So it will be good if you can get a friend that is same common interest. That this is what I've analyzed. Is my analysis correct? Can you help me to verify? So if both have the same checklist, then both can have the same procedure. But if there's something missing, then they can add on to the checklist. An airline, a pilot checklist do not develop in just one day. It takes ever since Wilbur Wright, is it the first person to fly?
Yeah.
And every plane crashes, they discovered something new, they add on to something.
They add on, yes, correct, that's good.
Yeah.
So this is so much of the wisdom, the strategies.
Yes. No one gets it right the first time.
And all the experiences, because I think market is really dynamics.
Yes.
Sometimes the weather is too unpredictable, no matter how much contingency you have planned. But it becomes, sometimes it's like really honing our skills to be really impromptu or making certain decisions.
Yes.
I suppose, but yet not at the expense. We cut down the least fatal rate as much, right? I suppose, yes, correct.
If I use the analogy, because right now everyone if you do not know the 737 MAX crashes, that two plane crash.
Yeah, correct.
It's nothing to do with trading, but the lesson is the two plane crashed, and where two, unfortunately, both do not have any survivors. But what happened is, now we all know that Boeing actually implemented a new technology but didn't have it
I see. Okay.
in their procedure.
Yes.
The pilot were following the procedure, but because it's a new technology and Boeing didn't notify or train the pilots there's this new technology, that's why the pilots didn't do anything wrong, but yet the plane crashed. Then they realized it's their procedure that wasn't reported. Same thing. So in trading, the good news is the casualty is our trading account.
Yes, okay.
But it's something that after trading for some time, you know that it's an error that we can survive. So once we survive the error, this is what I've missed out. So the next time we have a trading, I remember to check this. So there's a good news about trading. It's a survivable error.
Okay, that's good. Actually, it leads to my next question. Because if it comes to social trading, the casualty could be different.
Correct.
Yeah, because the pilot is the master trader, right? The signal provider, and there's a list of the followers like following them, mirroring the so-called this pilot trader. That's why very much it is not just simply the pilot trader actually look at just his account, but in consideration that he better have a proper plan, that he's disciplined and stick to it with the executions and all that, with all the precautions, knowing that it's going to be rewarding. Of course, all the followers, they know what kind of risk, but at least not too much of the predictable part, but still consistent enough that you will not have sudden too much of a heart attack, that they are not really too caught off guard. So I think this pilot thing is like it's like really like, I think like this lead trader is very much like how we lead our life.
Well, actually, if I make an analogy,
yeah, analogy, okay.
If I want to fly from Singapore to Tokyo,
yeah,
the thing is, I don't have time to study to be a pilot.
Okay.
Right? So if I don't have time to be study, if I need to fly to Tokyo and I need to study to be a pilot in order to fly to Tokyo, but that's not my job. My job is to get to Tokyo. So in terms of trading using signals, I don't have time to study to be a trader. So as long as I can find an airline that can help me to fly to Tokyo, at least I can reach Tokyo, for example.
Sure. Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, if I want to fly airlines, I will choose what airline I want to fly. But if the airlines always have planes that keep on crashing, of course I'm not going to use the airline, am I right?
Yes, of course.
So I will fly airline with at least a better track record.
Yes.
So then if I want to follow a signal provider, also then I will look at the trade records.
Yeah.
If the trade record all the time has been losing, definitely I'm not going to use that signal provider because that plane keep on crashing.
Yes, correct.
But if the signal provider is giving me at least some good returns, at least it's right now, it's easy to overcome a higher benchmark because the interest rate in banks are very low. Less than 1% a year?
Yes.
So as long as I can make about 3-5% a month, I'm already more than the banks. I'm already well ahead.
Yes, correct.
So am I expecting the signal provider to give me 100% every month? That will be a little bit too much. But what I'm saying is that if you can give me a good positive return, it's actually better than putting money in the bank, in the banks.
So the passengers, they have to be coming up with the correct expectation.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah, correct expectation of how much return they would be like, they would like to. It's like they they wanted, you're talking about this pilot, I always like to have the analogy also, like they only have a capacity of maybe Toyota.
Propeller plane versus a Concorde lah.
But yeah, but the thing is that with that capacity, they always like to own, they like to look for a rider, they just want to enjoy the thrill of a Ferrari. So
yes.
So the Toyota engine on the Ferrari is like, they tend to crash first before the even reach the destination, and the Ferrari could have reached the destination without much because they are built up for that. Correct, that's a thrill. So I suppose that in that case, even passengers, they need to have certain make of a wise trade follower to even wanting to piggyback on any of their pilot. It's like they have to match the correct objective and goals and expectation rather than committing suicide themselves. Yeah, even I suppose even in social trading. So I think trader, whether you're self-trading or you're your follow trading, or you're looking at it from the trader running a business, trading business kind of a situation, it still boils out to inner how we really manage our expectation.
Agree.
And also whether do we eventually, what we practice, like I would say, do we practice greed, gamble, fear, and then
I think
kind
now a
of
lot of people use the word
non-ridiculous.
called FOMO, fear of missing out.
Really, FOMO, okay.
Yeah, I agree with you.
correct. So
because right now we all know that a lot of countries are printing money, and because of higher percentage of inflation versus the interest of the amount of money that we put in our banks, we're actually getting our money getting smaller and smaller. But the problem is a lot of people always want to make a lot of money Ferrari. Not only the joy of making money, but also the thrill of making money. And they tend to over leverage their investment.
Yeah.
And you have to understand one thing, that in this world there's no such thing as a guarantee. Even though it sounds nice to have a guarantee, but to me there's no such thing as guarantee. So in my trading per se, there's always amount of allocation. One is for longer term, one is for medium term, and one is for short term. And the short term, I'll divide it into some is for thrill.
Makes sense, yeah.
So that if you want to have the joy of a Ferrari, the thrill, you have a percentage for you to do that. But if anything happens, you accept, because that's for fun.
Sure.
Every trader, we have a symptoms called itchy finger. There's no way we can cure itchy finger. We can curb itchy finger. So once a while, we go for a drive.
Okay.
But the big picture is still your main portfolio.
Understand. That's good.
And of course, don't put a bigger percentage of your portfolio into the thrill.
True. But we probably need more money for the thrill.
Yes.
Yes.
No, what I mean is everyone wants to have that.
Yeah, true. So we probably then we have to really start to learn how to claw or accumulate to that thrill level, rather than straight away, wow, I'm dumped into that thrill position.
It feels really nice if you can make 50 to 100% every day or every week. But the moment you hit the account closeout, you start regretting, why should I do that? Why did I do that?
Yes, correct. True. Okay.
But the moment that you build a portfolio, thrill once a while will be there, but your whole portfolio will be growing. If your portfolios, the main portfolio are growing, then you can divert a certain percentage for your thrill. And after some time, you realize that, once a while I want to have the thrill, the joy of trading, but usually after some time you get numb and you feel that enough.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll look after the main trend instead of going against the signal.
yeah, yeah.
I know it sounds tough, especially for new traders, but eventually, if you can overcome that barrier, eventually you will overcome that.
I suppose in social trading we have different makes of traders. The make of like the Ferrari one, and really the make of like the Toyota, maybe and the Merc and all that. But if we're really specialized and really comfortable with our trading to maintain our capacity to be under the Toyota one, but we find that our counterparts is like not too bad, they maintain pretty well with their Ferrari standards. We can always invest in a little bit to piggyback the Ferrari one.
Yes.
Well, we focus our self-trading on the Toyota version, or maybe even put also a little bit in that MERS capacity. So the portfolio doesn't have to be like, wow, I have to set out a portfolio that I have to, I mean, it's really a good idea that we set aside different for the trail and for the conservative style. But I suppose in our social trading platform, you can then mix and match other portfolio, other capacity into our portfolio and piggyback on each other's strength.
Yes.
Which I thought that is even better than having yourself struggle and because sometimes entrepreneur is like they only look at certain perspective a little bit narrow, everything they have to like only upon them, only looking at their perspective, win or loss is everything about themselves. But if they can broaden up to see that, okay, I also recognize and acknowledge that you have your strength which I don't have, then perhaps we can tap on each other, because sometimes trail one they also need to take a break. They would need to sometimes, okay, let me park a little bit with the conservative one so that I won't crash 100% on my portfolio. So I suppose it's going to be a good leverage.
So there's a saying, you give a man a fish, he lives for every day. But you teach a man to fish, he lives for a lifetime. Yeah. But while he's learning on how to catch a fish, once in a while you give him some fish.
Okay.
So trading is actually a very lonely journey. Sometimes nobody may understand what you're trying to do, but while you're learning how to do trading, some of portfolio you can put it to some signal provider, some signals that you have done your background check and feels that it is consistent. Then at the same time, while you're learning how to trade, that portfolio, that signal provider can assist you to at least cover up some of your mistakes or help you to increase your probability of success.
Yeah, sure. Okay. It really takes a good, I would say, a broad perspective, it's like the abundance kind of a perspective that in the sharing economy, everybody can be a win-win situation. Doesn't mean that only you are only like a Toyota capacity, you won't make money.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell reminder so you won't miss any special monetization opportunities. Go follow now.